Greetings, it's Opeyemi here, hoping I can, with a steady hand, give you a little bit of my personal spell casting work with respect to vicarious experience of the longing to belong, unsettling group. I chose not to drive to East Montpelier 2 weekends in a row, not because of the gas as much as because of my past experiences with trying to be in a mixed group in the middle of Vermont where nobody else was black but me, and only a few people were at all ethnically other. And the ethnic other in the last group I was in happened to be Jewish, with a lot of struggle with what that meant. So, my card for the work is from the Carolyn Meese deck. Carolyn Meese is in the area over at Kripalu doing spellcasting work. And as you will see, there are light attributes to the Rebel card, and it's the negative attributes that I have decided that I need to do some work on. This idea that you can reject legitimate authority. Well, right now, I am understanding that my 20 plus years of being a tax resister by living in a very voluntary, simplistic life after 5 years of tax resistant by simply not filing may be catching up with me, and I want to hold the power that I am willing to be delightfully surprised by how easy that is to resolve in my life. What I will be taking to the tact class is my own little personal list of the generations in my family along my mother's line. That is 7 generations that, with 2 beyond me, takes you all the way back to slavery. Just like this is hard to believe. This is Cudjo Lewis and his wife. These were Yoruba sourcing African enslaved people and the last known slaves who arrived in this continent by slave boat in 1837. And when people tell me, oh, but slavery was outlawed, it wasn't like that. This is like smuggled drugs. In my own family, the woman that I know by picture is on my paternal great grandfather's side. Her name is Amanda. And although that is what I always go back to, this is actually my grandfather and my grandmother's mother. And this is the one that I learned to source from. And look at the color of her skin. She's the one that I can trace back to her grandmother in slavery. I say that because in my family, I am recognizing, and this is for the unsettlers part, this imperative that I never understood was in me, to get your family as white as possible. That's my daughter and my grandson. With my daughter's, got my grandbaby daughter inside her belly. And I choose to frame and keep one of the most ethnic pictures that I can find of my very, very white, living very, very upper middle class daughter. Why? Because in my family there's some really bad stories, and I think the essence of them that I want to share with the community here is that in my world I learned that it was not safe to be black, female, intelligent, sexy, and wealthy. They will kill you. That's my great Aunt Lula Mae Gibbs, who in the 1920s dated a mobster in Chicago, white guy, for a while. And when she broke up with him, somebody was sent to her door and she was shot in the chest. She survived that, but she was crazy as a loon afterwards. This is my mother. She probably died about 30 or 40 years sooner than she had to at age 56 due to the stresses of being an African American woman in the United States of America with very mixed life goals. Why were her goals so mixed? Well, partially because this is the way she started out her life as a second generation African American princess. That is the Black Prom at her integrated Evanston Township High School, one of the top 10 high schools in the country. No, the prom was not at the school. This is the Black Prom. So imagine what it's like to be told you're the prettiest, but only the prettiest of certain kind of people. The one that has troubled me the most is my Aunt Mary, who died at age 21. She had been, after she finished a chemistry degree, ready to go to Oak Ridge, Tennessee to work on the atomic bomb project in the 1940s. But she went downtown to Chicago with her sister's boyfriend, and he came back from Lake Michigan and she didn't. And the arraignment said that it was involuntary manslaughter. He didn't know she couldn't swim when he left her to drown. Last but hardly least, this one in my family represents for the Negro Republican end of our spectrum. She is my great Aunt Emma. She lived to be 102. She and her daughter lived in a house in Hollywood that they had purchased through a white front. You see, Black and Jewish people learned how to play the system back in the 1940s, I believe. She went away to Alaska and she came back a very wealthy woman. I don't believe she was a washerwoman up there. So my original message that it's not safe to be those 5 things remained something that I dance with a lot. And now I've added this other piece, which is holy moly. My whole life, I have been pursuing the American dream in a way I did not understand. If you were an African-American slave descent person 7 generations ago, what would be the most amazing thing that you could do to have privilege in this country? It would be to be white. So the colorism and the internalized oppression of that sits with me heavy at the end of a weekend where I didn't feel safe or comfortable going to share with you all in person my struggles with longing to belong and how I am learning to sit at the edge of the village in my little shaman's hut and be very happy and joyous there.